Hey friends, welcome back to Jenny Food and My Kitchen. If you've been watching my channel for a minute, then you've probably noticed that I swap regular mayonnaise in recipes for avocado oil mayonnaise. This is because I discovered about a year ago that I have seed oil intolerance. I was having some chronic joint pain and this turns out to be the primary culprit. So I've had to make some changes. Today, I'm going to show you the top 5 dressings that I use using avocado oil and olive oil instead of other seed oils. So let's do this. Now I've gone ahead and I've gotten all the ingredients necessary to make these 5 dressings. I'm going to show you how to make homemade ranch, homemade blue cheese, homemade French, homemade Italian vinaigrette, and a homemade Thousand Island. I've got everything together. I've got a bowl and a whisk. I've got my teaspoons and I've got my handy dandy clipboard with my recipes. So let's get started. We are going to start first by making this ranch seasoning. So we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of dried parsley, which I hope I have 2 tablespoons. Oh, I do. Come on, everybody in. All right, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and then when we're done, we'll just move it to the other side. 1 tablespoon of dried dill. I love ranch dressing, but you know, aside from the seed oils in ranch, I discovered that ranch packets have MSG in them, which I'm also sensitive to. So I've had to learn how to make my own ranch. So that was 1 tablespoon of dried dill. We're going to go in with 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. And then 1 tablespoon of onion powder. Get in there. And then 1 tablespoon of minced dried onions. Doesn't that sound delicious? I guess we're gonna have to dump that guy. All right, there's 1 tablespoon. All right, 2 teaspoons of chives, dried. And I'm going to do heaping teaspoons. I like the chive in ranch dressing. And then we just need a little bit of salt. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt to that. All right, so I've got our little seasoning blend here. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix that up in our little bowl. Now you could make this, and then if you wanted to make like a ranch marinated chicken, you could use this with like a little buttermilk. That would be good, and put that on chicken. All right, and then we are going to use 2 tablespoons of this mix. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons down into my little bowl. And then we'll set the rest of that aside and we'll save it for another recipe. So 2 tablespoons of that. Now I'm going to use 1 cup of mayonnaise. And if you've noticed, I primarily stick with 2 brands of the avocado mayonnaise. My favorite is this Chosen avocado oil. You really have to read the labels at the store, because if you pick up the ones that say avocado oil, and I won't mention brands, but if you actually look in the ingredients, some of those also include canola oil. But this one is 100% pure avocado oil, so that is why I use this. So we'll measure out 1 cup. And I've gone ahead and I've made it so that the recipes for these different dressings, they all will fit in a pint jar. I like to make these, and then obviously we just store them in the fridge. And each of these last, I mean, depending on what's in them, I would say the blue cheese would be the one you would kind of want to use up quickly, which if there's blue cheese in my house, I'm eating it. I love blue cheese dressing on like a steakhouse salad. Yes, please. With some buffalo. Yes, please. All right. That is 1 cup of avocado oil mayonnaise. Everybody in there. Let's go. All right. And then we need 3/4 cup of buttermilk. I always keep buttermilk in my fridge. I mean, you never know when you need to make biscuits or pancakes. So 3/4 cup of buttermilk. All right, and just like that, our ranch is come together. We're just gonna whisk that. Now I'll set these aside so you can see what I'm doing. Whoops. And we're just gonna whisk all of those ingredients together. Now, that might look like a lot of green, but once this sits overnight, I mean, these are some bigger flaked parsley and some bigger flaked chives than what you're gonna find in a standard bottle of ranch. So this will have to sit for a little bit before we use it, but that looks perfect. I'm just gonna go ahead and give that a quick taste. Oh, my little tasting spoons. Make sure it doesn't need anything. Oh, that's delicious. When all of those seasonings and spices soak that liquid up and they kind of bloom in the dressing, that is really good. All right, dressing number 1 is done. So we'll get that into our little jar. And hopefully my aim is good today. And just like that, we have homemade ranch dressing. Made in real time so you can see exactly how easy that was. I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on this, get it in the fridge, and then I will wash this up and we'll move on to the next one. All right, we're ready to move on to blue cheese dressing. So we're going to use our used measuring cup because we're putting the same thing. Another cup of avocado oil mayonnaise. And the only difference really that I find using the avocado oil mayonnaise versus the regular mayonnaise is, I will say the avocado oil mayonnaise has a slightly more like tang, like almost like an acidic flavor to it than regular mayonnaise. So it's a little bit like it has more lemon or something in it that is a little more acidic. So what I've learned to do is if I'm using a recipe, if I'm making it and it has lemon or some type of vinegar, I will go ahead and pull back on that ingredient because I know that this has a little bit more of an acidic flavor than regular mayonnaise. So we've got 1 cup of mayonnaise, and then we need a 1/2 cup of sour cream, which I have right here already measured out. Right. And then we need a 1/2 cup of blue cheese, which I don't know, I might add a little more. I love blue cheese dressing. I mean, there isn't a cheese I don't like, so you had me at blue cheese. All right, so I'm just going to use this one. That looks like a 1/2 cup, and then I'll just save a few crumbles for a salad. You know what I'm saying? All right, 1/2 cup of blue cheese. You could also use gorgonzola for this. All right. And then we just need a pinch of salt. Give it a good pinch. And then a pinch of garlic powder. We'll give that one a good pinch. Ah! Try not to flip stuff out of the pool, you know what I'm saying? And then, it's not perfect in my kitchen. And then we're just gonna add just a few glugs of the W sauce. I'm not even gonna attempt to say it today. So now, we'll just go ahead and mix that up. Now here's the spot. If you wanted your blue cheese to not be chunky and you really kind of want it smooth, you could always take an immersion blender to this at this point. I happen to like it a little bit chunky. Oh, that smells so good. Blue cheese dressing. So easy. Just like that, we have blue cheese. Let me go in for a piece of blue cheese. Yes. That is really good. I especially like this. If you've been watching, then you know I like the buffalo flavor profile. So it's always good for me to have a little buffalo, blue cheese and buffalo on hand in my refrigerator. I think I shared with you when I made those buffalo pretzels that I love. Every now and then I get this hankering for a salad where I'll put like basic greens down and then I'll add like a coleslaw mix, like a shredded green cabbage and some carrot, and then just put some buffalo chicken tenders or buffalo chicken meat with a little bit of blue cheese. And I just love that. It's just such a good salad. I also love blue cheese on my wings. Now, if I want blue cheese dressing for wings, then I kind of like it a little bit smoother. So if I'm making it primarily for wings, or if I'm having company or something and we're cooking wings, then I will go ahead and I will use the immersion blender on this just to make it kind of more smooth. Alrighty, just like that, we've got another dressing, a pint of blue cheese, and we'll wash up and we'll be back for the next one. All right, we're moving on to our third dressing recipe. Now, I need to get a clean cup. My little baking drawer here. All my measuring stuff is in that drawer. All right, so I need a half a cup plus a tablespoon of ketchup. So I'm just going to squeeze out a half of a cup. And we'll put that ketchup right in the bowl. All right, and then I'm just going to add a tablespoon. I'm going to eyeball it. That's about a tablespoon. We're going to call that good. And then I need a quarter cup of sugar. Now, you can pull back a little bit. This is one of those that you can make to your taste. Actually, this recipe calls for a little bit more than that, but I like a fourth of a cup. So, and I am going to be showing you in next week's video, I'm going to be showing you how I use this French dressing, and it's a good one, so stay tuned for that. All right, we need 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. All right, and then we need 3/4 cup of avocado oil. And so I have just regular avocado oil. Now, I have used olive oil in this recipe, and honestly, I didn't like it. This is a little more neutral than like an extra virgin olive oil. And so I think this one, avocado oil, really plays well with others in this recipe. All right, 3/4 cup of avocado oil. And then we need 1/3 teaspoon. So what we'll do is we will use, let's see, this is a half, so I'll use a little bit less than half of onion powder. I mean, this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I just didn't fill it quite all the way. And then we need a splash of mustard, which when I make salad dressings, I use some of our local mustard. We've got a couple different companies locally that make like a creamy mustard that you could actually eat right out of the jar. It's so delicious. So we need just a little bit, and by a splash, I mean like maybe a 1/2 teaspoon. All right, get in there. I have to help that out slightly. All right. And then we need, and this is really important, you don't want to skip this, the celery seed. I love celery seed. You need 3/4 teaspoon. So I have 1 teaspoon here, and I'm just not going to fill it all of the way. And that is really what's going to give this a good home style flavor. It's a little bit more elevated than just say a plain French. This dressing goes really good. I mean, it goes good on the salad I'm going to show you in a few days. But it's also really good on like a spinach, bacon, hard-boiled egg salad. And you know what? This is one that we really need. We want that to emulsify. I don't know if I can do that with my whisk. We'll see. If not, we can get the immersion blender out and that will achieve that. I guess it's doing okay. Just might take a minute. All right, and just like that, we've got our French dressing all whisked up. Now I'm going to check that for seasoning. How fun is that? I've got 2 more little tasting spoons. So let's taste this French dressing. That is good. I think it needs a pinch of salt just to counteract that sugar just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a little bit of salt. And then we'll try it again. Yep, there it is. That's really good. That's a good recipe. All right, we'll get that one into the jar. Get all of this in there. This looks like it was slightly less than the pint. And I usually, when I make these dressings, this is what I make because I don't want to make so much that I have to store it, you know, unless I'm serving it for a particular salad or I'm having people over for dinner. I don't want to make so much that it's going to be in the fridge for a long time. I want to make only what I can use up in a good amount of time. So here we are, French dressing. We'll put this one in the fridge and we'll be back with an Italian vinaigrette. All right, for our 4th dressing, I don't even need the bowl. We can make that right inside the jar. So I have some extra virgin olive oil. This one is olive oil preferred. So I'm going to measure 1 1/4 cup of good olive oil. Can I get it in there without spilling it everywhere? The answer is yes. All right. There is 1 1/4 cups of olive oil. And then I need 2/3 cup vinegar. And I did not get that out. Hold, please. And to that, I'm going to add, let's see, 2/3 cup of, let's see, where's my 2/3 cup? Here. All right. So I'm going to add 2/3 cup of red wine vinegar. Now you could use white wine vinegar for this. You could use sherry or champagne vinegar if you had that. I find most people have either white or red wine vinegar. So we'll put that right in there. All right, so easy. Now we just need, let's see, a tablespoon of mustard. Do I have a tablespoon? Hopefully the answer is yes. We're coming down to the end of my jar. I need to go get some more good mustard. All right, I'm gonna use my finger and get in there. My hands are clean. All righty. All right, my mustard's almost gone. And then we need 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Oops. 1. And this one's going, whoa, accidente. Italian seasoning, and then we want just a couple pinches of garlic powder. And then I like, you don't have to add this, but I like to add just a couple pinches of sugar to my Italian vinaigrette. It just calms that acidic, it just does, it like rounds out that vinegar so it's not like punch you in the face. You know what I'm saying? So let me add a couple pinches of sugar. And just like that, our Italian vinaigrette is completed. So now all we have to do is put a nice tight lid on that, squeeze it down, and then I like to do it from the bottom and the top. Give it a good shake. And that mustard, the job of that mustard is to really emulsify this. And you can see it kind of helps that olive oil, and now it will separate when it sits, but at least to pour over salads and serve, it'll be nice and emulsified. So let me find another tasting spoon. All right, we'll go ahead and taste that for seasonings. That is very basic. That's good. All right. I'll just go ahead and put the lid on that, and we'll put this in the fridge, and we'll move on to our last dressing recipe. All right, I guess I got myself a little wet, but we'll just move on to that last dressing. Now, we are going to make some Thousand Island dressing. And let's see. Oh, I got a little wet washing dishes in between takes. So we are going to move on to our last recipe, and that is Thousand Island. Now, oh, Jenny. I'll just have to wipe that up. Good thing I'm not perfect in the kitchen. All right. when my husband comes home today and he discovers that there is fresh, I bet Thousand Island in the fridge, I bet he will ask for a salad for dinner tonight. We also put this on hamburgers. He puts it on hamburgers. I like a good patty melt. Oh, patty melts are like one of my favorite things, especially in a restaurant. I can take this dressing with me and order a patty melt with no dressing on it, and then put this on it, and I'll be just fine. So we have a cup of mayonnaise going in to that one. And to that, I am going to add about a half a cup of a dill pickle relish. All right, dill pickle relish in. And then we're gonna go down with 1/4 of a cup of ketchup. So that's 4 tablespoons. And the secret ingredient to a good Thousand Island, all right, I'll set that there, is a little bit of the W sauce. Give that a few gloves, and then we'll mix that up. Ooh, smells like Thousand Island. I mean, you could add, some people like to add chopped hard-boiled eggs to theirs, but I like something that's going to keep in the fridge for more than just a couple days. Whew, just like that. Our Thousand Island is done. I'm going to give it a taste and see if we need any salt. Thousand Island. Actually, I'm going to add just a tiny bit more ketchup. All right, let me see. Yep, there it is. All right, we will put this in our last jar, and just like that, we made 5 dressings together. I'm going to go ahead and clean this whole mess up, and then we will talk about the salads that these dressings go on. Stay tuned. All right, folks, and just like that, our 5 salad dressings are completed. I've cleaned up, and that really took no time at all. So let's talk about our dressings. We've got homemade ranch, which obviously goes on anything. Salads, pizza, chicken. I mean, what can't you do with ranch? You know what I'm saying? Next, we've got our homemade French, and I talked a little bit earlier about how good that is on a spinach salad. I don't know what it is about French dressing and spinach, but it's a good one. Hard-boiled egg, bacon, chicken, little tomato, and some red onion. They're on some like toasted pecans, and you've got an amazing salad. Next, we've got our blue cheese. Oh, I like to make a good steakhouse salad. Just a basic house salad with lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, croutons, hard-boiled egg maybe. I mean, you could throw some chicken or some steak. I would throw steak on that. And then add this blue cheese dressing. Yes, please. You can also use this for buffalo wings or buffalo tenders, buffalo salad. Heck, we could even dip those buffalo pretzels. I just thought of that. I think I need to make those again and try those. Try that. Next, we've got our Italian dressing, which obviously is good in a pasta salad, a house salad, or you can even marinate things with this. This would be good instead of using like a bottled dressing. If you like to marinate your grill, go ahead and make this instead. And lastly, we've got our Thousand Island. Now, Thousand Island goes really good on a house salad. My husband would tell you that Thousand Island is good on everything, but that's not true. Thousand Island is good on a house salad. It's also good on a Cobb salad, believe it or not. And it's really good on a Reuben sandwich, on a hamburger, or a patty melt, which is my favorite hamburger in the world. So, just like that, we've got those done, and these will stay good in the fridge for, a couple of weeks maybe. I mean, this is going to get used up. I know this is going to disappear, and then I can specifically make things to use those. And we'll just keep making these on repeat at my house. And that's how I manage the no seed oil. I just make my own condiments. So there you have it. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Which one of these do you want to try? Or if you try them, let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.